As we move into our Sunday service, woohoo, one heart, one mind.
Ow, ow.
Woo.
Yay.
So, to kick us off, I am going to invite our wonderful, fabulous, and amazing musician, our musician of the day, Jesse Powers, to kick us off with a song. Jesse, you want to kick us off with a song?
I do. I'd be curious what you would say if I said no, I don't, though. I wake up early to the morning sun. I don't know how it does it every day. It rises up and then it falls again, born only to die away. Look in the mirror and I see myself. I don't know how I do it every day. Standing on this big blue rock, not knowing what I'm doing here. Still believing there's a reason, keep on keeping on my way. Each time I open my eyes, that's when I get to decide how I am gonna show up and show out in this life. Everybody get up. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Everybody get up. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Get up, get up, get up, and be grateful. I'm up, I'm up, I'm up, and I am thankful. Get up, get up, get up, and be grateful. I'm up, and I'm ready to play. Yeah, look at the clock, it's running day and night. Got no control in those hands. A little soldier just marching through time. I'm so glad I am not a clock, I am alive, and I can choose to dance each time I open my eyes. That's when I get to decide how I am gonna show up and show out in this life. Everybody give a huh. Huh. Everybody get up. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Getting that breath moving. Everybody get up. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Oh, get up, get up, get up, and be grateful. I'm up. Say I'm up, and I am thankful. Get up, get up, get up, and be grateful. I'm up, and I'm ready to play.
Play.
Everybody get up. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Everybody get up. Oh, it's a beautiful day.
Ooh. Woo, Jesse, it is a beautiful day. Woohoo. And I am going to invite our practitioner of the day, our beloved practitioner of the day, to open us with a prayer. Lissa, love you, sweetheart.
Yes, love you too. And so why don't we all pull together with a breath of gratitude for this beautiful day where we're ready to play, as Jesse sang to us, knowing that there is one divine spirit of love and wisdom that unites all of life in a web of light, each light a unique expression of that divine spirit, here to experience and expand that divinity that makes us one. And so I speak my word for this service, knowing that it is blessed not only by the words and prayers and music, but also by the vibration of love and unity created by the presence of each and every person connected to this service today or in days to come. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity and the philosophy of this, of spiritual liberty that is one heart, one mind. And so I release my word into the law by saying, and so it is. And so the topic that is for today, the how to get comfortable with discomfort. I tell you, I had lots of different thoughts about that because it's just a big thought in my life. And I'll just start off with one of the sillier ones. And it's because the topic of the month is paradox. It's like this line kept running through my mind, a paradox, a most ingenious paradox. And I kept thinking, where in the world does that come from? And so finally I looked it up, and it's Gilbert and Sullivan. And it's a song. And the song is pretty funny, but essentially the paradox is they're talking to this person who's having a birthday, and he was born on the 29th of February. And so they're talking about, although you think you're 21, you're really 5, and so I can't do it justice. I wish that I could sing it because it's a very funny song and moves very fast. But anyway, I just thought that was a nice little touch talking about paradox. But about the other part, my first thought was my own physical pain and how it slows me down, because I'm going to read this because it's easier. It slows me down because it's painful to walk, and because it is so present, I have difficulty making the necessary mind shift to do an effective treatment, and I have to work up to it. I first of all resort to please God, fix it. And then my inner wise self smiles and reminds me that God in me, as me, is me, and that healing power is inside of me. So anyway, thanks a lot, I say. And then I remind myself of the things that I believe that comfort me, such as all is well and evolving in divine right order. The universe loves me and I love the universe. And then there's Ho'oponopono, which I can repeat and repeat and repeat, and it pulls me out of the mind thing. Or I might sing. Ricky Byers-Beckwith has a song that is let it be, let the love wash over me and let it be. And there's something in the words and the vibration of that song that is just really comforting and is kind of moves me. And so that's where I go from there. Or then the other thing is that there's this one song that is called Bring Me a Higher Love. And that song can always raise my vibration, and it's kind of like, mainly because at a certain point in time, I did something with Bella and it became Bella's song. So it brings me into my silly, happy kind of space. And so I'm, it's like I'm beginning to lighten gradually. I mean, I don't always have to do all of these things, but this is kind of like my medical kit, so to speak. And so that usually gets me to the place where then I can begin to express gratitude and appreciation for the other things in my life. That it's like, because I have this mind that locks onto things and won't let go, which is why I have to do all these things. And I'm sure that's true for other people as well. And so being able just to make that shift so that I'm not thinking about the fact that my leg hurts, and it allows me then to move into life, and think and do something else. So then I have gratitude and appreciation for all the love and wonderful things and people in my life. And so it's kind of like all about unlocking my mind from the focus on suffering, which can literally immobilize me. And it, stretches out to other things in the environment as well, in terms of all the things that are going on in the world. But at any rate, unifying with spirit in this way moves me away from the discomfort, and my spirit feels lighter. And then that becomes kind of that heart-mind coherence that we talk about, that it's like, it sort of feels like an opening that then allows me to remember that all things are possible. And then my imagination begins to wake up. And that's when I began to be able to take some sort of action in the world, not necessarily anything to do with my pain, but just to do with life. It's kind of like that opens me up to further doing some writing or talking to somebody or doing other things in the world. Um, excuse me, another tool that I'm fond of is what I call bibliotherapy. And some of you, I'm sure, know of this, and that is book therapy. And essentially, it's hard, but not impossible to manage on Kindle, but it's better to have an actual book, because then what you do is you open the book. You know, you ask for a message and you open the book. And so I did that this morning, asking for something to share with you. And the book that showed up was a poetry book by Alice Walker, person who wrote Color Purple. And it's called Taking the Arrow Out of the Heart, and has to do with dealing with woundedness, and letting the feelings from woundedness be heard in order to be healed. And so anyway, I'm just going to read a part of it because it feels so appropriate in terms of the geopolitical life we are living right now. And essentially what she does is, the first line is you know, that oops, sorry about that. I just wanted to be sure I have the right title, because it's like the sweet people are everywhere is the name of the poem. And she wrote it for young Brian, who is getting a passport. Okay. And so then it starts off, some of the people in Turkey are very sweet. Some of those in Afghanistan are very sweet. And then she goes on for 2 pages of different countries that, you know, reminding of that whole quality. And then at the ending, it's actually in almost every house on the planet, there is at least one very sweet person that you would be happy to know. Sweet people are everywhere. Being sweet, they must not be disappeared. We are lost if we can no longer experience how sweet human beings can be. Promise me never to forget this, no matter how far you go on this new passport, where you are directed to land, your own sweet self, or who sends you. And I just felt like that was a nice tie with the whole thing of paradox and how things can look ugly and they're not. So that's my word for the day.
That was perfect, Lisa. I love that.
So I guess we have an affirmation here. There is, you can say it with me, there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. I harvest its good through the power of my word, thought, and deed. I live in the effortless flow of divine good. And so it is.
Oh, it is. Thank you so much for that share. I loved it. That was perfect.
Great.
And now we have more Jessie.
Oh, hey. Let's all just take a deep breath. It's a really easy one. You know it. I am enough. I have enough. I do enough. And I am loved. I am enough. I have enough. I do enough. And I am loved. Sing it in your heart. I am enough. I have enough. I do enough. And I am loved. I am loved. Here we go. I am loved. I am loved. One more time. I am loved. I do enough, and I am loved. Let's do that one more time. I am enough. I have enough. I do enough, and I am loved. I am loved. I am loved. I am loved.
Oh, beautiful. It really set the tone. Ah, let's just drink that in. Ah, thank you for that. Kicking us off. And good morning again. One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living. And again, however you're connecting with us in real time or replay, I'm just glad you are. And I hope that you hear something that touches your heart and supports your life. You know, as we were talking about earlier, this month we're exploring the use of paradox, seemingly contradictory or opposing ideas as tools for our spiritual growth and empowerment. So how about today's talk title? Getting comfortable with discomfort. What? Why would we want to do that? For heaven's sakes, we're metaphysicians. We know better, right? We don't want to be okay with discomfort. We want to feel good and enjoy life. And that's true. But guess what? Stuff still comes up. So maybe it would be helpful for us to take a look at what makes us uncomfortable and why. So I pulled out one of my old all-time favorite books, one of Ernest Holmes' first books called This Thing Called You. And Ernest Holmes said, right in the first line of the book, he said, "You, like all others, are seeking the joy of living. You wish to be needed, to be loved, to be included in the drama of life." And then he wrote, "This urge is in every individual. It is everything." And I believe he is right. We are certainly joy-seeking beings, expressing the joy of our Creator. Why would we want to get comfortable with discomfort? That definitely seems like a contradiction. So how can this seeming paradox support us? Well, in Science of Mind and New Thought in general, we often talk about the spiritual principle that we are divine beings, expressions of our Creator having a human experience. And we talk about how these two different worlds are really one and the same. One expresses itself through the other. And this oneness is expressed in our physical world of duality. You know, now that's a paradox. In our humanness, we tend to stand on either one side or the other in this world of duality. You know, and it comes out in so many different ways, in our language, in our way of moving through the world, the questions we ask each other, and the ways we seek meaning in our lives. All these things they kind of lend themselves to standing on one side of an issue or another. You know, we say things like, are you a morning person or are you a night owl? Do you like tea or coffee? Are you a Democrat or a Republican? Do you like cats or dogs? Are you an introvert or an extrovert? Male or female? What religion are you? Are you a saver or spender? Are you a big picture person or are you more focused on the details? Pretty much our entire world is based on picking a side. And once we've chosen our side, whether it's something small like a simple preference or something big like a belief system, a way of thinking, or a call to action, whatever it is, our tendency is to see life only from the benefits of our side, and we tend to see only the deficits of the other side. You know, we're very comfortable with things we like that are on our side, and not so much with the things that are on the other side. But as practicing metaphysicians, we know there's always a third way, a way to pull back from the broader and from the situation, the event, circumstance, or whatever it is, into the broader view, a more all-inclusive view, more all-inclusive perspective. You know, we all have preferences, and there is certainly nothing wrong with that. We naturally have perspective or preferences. We have personal desires. It's a part of us. You know, it's that joy-seeking part of us that Holmes talks about. It's what makes us these unique individuals. But it's when we push against what we don't want that we get into trouble, that we cause resistance and we cause discomfort. And this is true in every area of our life. You know, we say things like, and I include myself in this too, I'm always a courteous driver, but that guy that cut me off on the freeway the other day, darn that guy. Or I'm really enjoying the weather today, but yesterday the weather was awful. And I really love the advantages that technology brings into our lives. But what about those scammers? And I'm grateful that we have free speech in our country, but I don't always like the way other people use it. Now, I believe Holmes when he says that we're joy-seeking beings. We are. But pushing against what we don't like doesn't bring us joy. It just creates resistance, and it blocks the flow of that creative energy of life that actually flows through us naturally. So then tell me, if we get comfortable with the things that cause us discomfort, then will we always be comfortable? Is that the key? Just to accept the way things are? Yeah, that's not really what being comfortable with discomfort means. Being comfortable with discomfort is not complacency. We don't stick our head in the sand and say everything's great. We're metaphysicians. We're not blind, deaf, or dumb. We can't go around and say, well, we'll just accept the way things are. I guess this is just the way life is. No, that's not what we do. Getting comfortable with discomfort is actually the first step in transforming what's making us uncomfortable in the first place. Getting comfortable with discomfort means we greet things the way they are without railing against them, but we practice pulling back into the consciousness of unity, into the consciousness of divinity, into the consciousness of multiple solutions. And we look at every event and circumstance and situation from a broader, more all-inclusive perspective. Sounds so easy when I say it. And honestly, it can be easy. Not at first, but with practice, we look at the physical world through the heart of our oneness with God. When we look at it through that third way, through the heart of love. Love is that unifying and inclusive force, you know, and it opens us up to find that third way. That third way that doesn't have to be uncomfortable. You know, it can transform what's making us uncomfortable. You know, it's what Jesus meant when he said, love your enemies and pray for those that persecute you. Or what Holmes meant when he said, be for something and against nothing. When we push back, we create resistance. And resistance stops the flow of the energy of life that naturally and effortlessly flows through us. You know, Holmes again, back to this thing called you. He said that every person is a doorway. He said man, but I'm making it gender inclusive. Every person is a doorway through which the infinite passes into the finite, through which God becomes mankind, through which the universal becomes the individual. We're made for this. This is what makes us. This is who we are. We are made to express the goodness of that vast, infinite well of divinity that is who we are. That's why we're here. And you know what? I've come to believe that this being human thing is really quite a gift. You know, certainly there have been moments in my life, let's call them stretches in my life, when it didn't feel like life was such a gift. But as my spiritual life expanded and I become more and more steeped in the experience of that oneness, the more I've realized that this being human thing is just an amazing experience. Sure, I still have moments, but those are my navigating tools. I still I still believe that life is an opportunity for a greater and greater experience of love. Love is the meaning and the purpose of life itself. And that in our oneness with our Creator and as human beings, we already have everything we need already within us to participate with this natural flow of the energy of life. And as we open to that natural flow, what Holmes called that urge within us, he also called it the infinite givingness of spirit. We express that infinite good of our Creator. And it happens in every aspect of our lives. When we meet everything in the moment without resistance, that's why we love our enemies. And that's why we stand for something and against nothing. We stand for peace, not against war and violence, even though it's so hard to imagine that right now with what's going on. And as Lissa reminded us, in the geopolitical world, we are for abundance, not against lack or limitation. We're for vitality, not against disease. We're interested in the abundance and the prosperity of life, rather than interested in lack and not enoughness. We stand in the natural flow of the energy of life, of love, of good. We open to the good and we don't push back against anything. That's just more struggle and strife. That's not what we want. And resistance pops up in a lot of different ways, especially when we encounter something that makes us uncomfortable, something that is not our preference. When something triggers an old unhealed wound or an old unhealed trauma, when something triggers fear in us, resistance pops up and we put on the brakes. Wait a minute. When we get frustrated and anger and we worry, we play the worst case scenario out in our heads over and over again. We get fatigued. We procrastinate. We go back into our old habits, our own patterns. We furnish the ruts we're in. And all these things are just a way to cope and control. We got to give ourselves a little credit. We're trying here, even if it's through resistance. But rather than feel the discomfort, we tell ourselves the truth about it. And we forgive it. And we heal it. And we let go of that resistance by engaging. Okay, this is uncomfortable right now, but it's just going to pass. I'm going to sit with it and tell it and listen to what it's trying to tell me. There's something good here that wants to bubble up. What's hidden in this discomfort? And I personally believe that this happens on an individual level, and I think we see it happening all around us on a collective level. Our resistance doesn't allow the transformation of the discomfort into something good. So even though our tendency is to resist, we need to let that go. Resistance doesn't allow us to use discomfort as a catalyst for change. And it takes a lot of energy to resist something, to try to push something down and avoid it, something we don't want to feel. Remember those childhood toys that you put your fingers in? I can't remember what they're called. But you put your index fingers in there and you try and get them out and you pull. And the more you pull, the more resistance you put up, the more stuck your fingers are. And when you relax, you can get one finger out and then the other finger out. And then through non-resistance, you were free. Or have you ever tried to hold a beach ball down under the water? It's exhausting. And remember, we always talk about the tug of war rope. We can pull and pull and pull, try our footing, try with all our strength, or we can just let go of our end of the rope. Have you heard that story? I love this story about the Zen master who asked his student if he thought that the big boulder in the middle of the road was heavy. And the student said, "Oh, yes, master, extremely heavy." And the master said, "Not if you don't pick it up." We have a choice. We don't have to pick up the boulder. I'm going to get a drink of water because my throat's still a little fuzzy. We don't have to pick up the burden. I don't think non-resistance has to be this big, heavy burden. The way to drop the resistance is to relax and to be calm and to be aware of what it is we're thinking. It actually just takes a commitment a commitment to stay focused on what we're actually interested in, what we're actually interested in experiencing in our lives. Am I more interested in vitality or disease? Am I more interested in the abundance of universal good than I am in lack? Again, it's not that we don't experience the disease or the lack. We're not sticking our head in the sand, but we don't have to stay there. We don't have to furnish the rut. When we begin to be present with what we're more interested in, we're so much more empowered. You know, sometimes I don't think, and I speak about myself here, sometimes I forget how powerful we actually are, and I don't give myself credit for being a divine being who co-creates with God. You know, we slip back into those old way of things. So try this with me for a minute. If you feel comfortable, you know, just take a breath and let your eyes close if you feel comfortable, or just let your gaze soften, and bring to mind a situation that you find uncomfortable, something that has been a challenge in your life. Or maybe it's a world event. Maybe it's the war that's now raging in Ukraine and in Israel and on that Gaza Strip. Soften your gaze, go within, think of something that you find really uncomfortable, something that might sadden you a bit, climate change, world hunger. And imagine that you're just watching it on this inner screen of your mind, that you're not in it, it's just in front of you. Recognize that you're not in the situation, that you're just witnessing it. And now I invite you to ask yourself, who's actually witnessing this? Who is this witness? And where is this witness watching from? Is this witness watching from a safe place? Is this place surrounded by peace, love, wholeness, sanity, security, harmony? Ernest Holmes told us that no matter what emotional storm or objective situation we find ourselves in, that there is always a hidden something, a hidden truth in the inner being that has never been violated. He said that we may stumble, but we always find that eternal voice forever whispering in our ear, that thing that causes the eternal quest, that thing that forever sings and sings of peace and love and enoughness. We're safe here. And that's where we witness. In the midst of our discomfort, we witness from this place of comfort that's always within us. And the more we practice being in that place when we're not facing a challenge, the easier it is for us to find it when we are, when we need its gentle, comforting embrace. So if you still have your eyes closed, come on back with us. You know, this gentle something hidden is our higher self, our God self, the part that is always open to the infinite life. It's always plugged into that place of peace, of God's peace. And that's the part of us that is capable of engaging with everything that comes up in our life, even the things that bring us discomfort. From this witness state, we're grounded in the foundational energy of life, of love. Looking at life from this larger view keeps us from popping into that place of discomfort when things come up. You know, when you're at the bottom of the mountain looking up, the mountain looks pretty steep. And it seems like you're stuck and you'll never get to the top. But once you're at the top, the shift in perception is incredible. And because we are working in consciousness, we don't have to even make the climb. We just have to switch our attention. We can have that experience right here, right now, in this moment. There's a Zen story. You know, the Zen people, the Zen tradition has all the best stories. The story goes that there's a man galloping on his horse, and it appears like he's going somewhere really important. He's going really fast, and he passes this other man on the road, and the man yells at the rider, "Where are you going?" And the rider yells back, "I don't know. Ask the horse." And before I found Science of Mind, that's kind of how I felt my life went. I was just running along, occasionally, but more often not now. I find myself in that situation, very rarely anymore. But the story is our habit, our habitual thinking and feeling, our old patterns that no longer serve us. But wait a minute, we're metaphysicians. We know how to do spiritual practice. We know how to use our spiritual tools. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little raspy here. We use our spiritual practice to break that cycle of our habitual thinking and feeling. We are empowered by our inherent divinity to be at the top of the mountain and not have to make that climb. So now, if I was to ask you to make a list of all your habits, chances are good that you write down all the things that you consider your bad habits, things that you'd like to change. Maybe you'd throw in a few good ones, but I bet you'd have more bad ones than good ones. But a habit is just a pattern of thinking and feeling and being. It's something that we do so often that it's just involuntary. A habit is not inherently good or bad. It's just a habit. So the question we need to ask ourselves, or are our habitual patterns, our habits, taking us closer to the life we want to live, to our preferences, or are they keeping us stuck in a rut? I was reading Dennis Merritt Jones' book, The Art of Uncertainty, and he said that a rut is a grave with no ends. I thought that was a pretty cool visual. And while there might be a certain amount of comfort in the rut, he said, if we stay in the rut, we'll never get to the mystery of the unknown, where creation and purpose and meaning live, where they await us. So true. Got to get out of the rut. Let's not furnish the rut. So if habits are neither good or bad, then can't we change our life by developing habits that support our expanding good? Well, yeah. And isn't that really what spiritual practice does? It just creates new habits for us that support us. And can we practice mindfulness? Can we commit to being more interested in what we want to see in our life and create those habits that serve us rather than keeping us in that rut? Can you see how noticing how we feel discomfort can actually be a navigating tool to let us know when something in our thinking or our feeling needs a shift in perception, a view from the top of the mountain rather than from the base of the mountain? Can we use how we feel to move us into an expanded view of our life from that witness perspective, that safe place, which is always in heaven, which is always in touch with the power of love, which is always inclusive, which always finds that third way? Can we commit to engage with any discomfort that pops up for us and let it be the reminder of who we are and how empowered we are to create our lives, rather than something we just have to cope with and try to control? I think we can. The splendor of what life is and can be is already within us. It's available to us, and all we have to do is shift our perception, which will shift the way we think and feel and the way we look at things and the way we do things. It's an internal shift that opens the floodgates of heaven. We stand in that flow. We stand in its life-giving waters. So I'm going to let Ernest Holmes have the last word today. Well, close to the last word. Ernest Holmes wrote in that same little book that I've been talking about, for those who have dwelt in limited thought, a very good practice is to dwell upon the magnitude of the universe. Think of how many stars there are in the sky, how many fish there are in the sea, how many grains of sand on every beach of the planet. Think of how big the ocean is, the immensity of space, the grandeur of everything. And I would add, the grandeur of you, because we are one with all of this. So let's pray. I know that all I am is God, all you are is God, that God is all there is. It encompasses everything. Everything in the physical world is an expression of this grandeur of the infinite possibility and wonder of life. So I stand in this awe, in this wonder, in this beauty. And I move from inviting in help to being grateful, to being awed and living in wonder and the grandeur of it all. And it spills out from me now, for I live in the flow of the divine life. It is me, I am it, we are it. It is all that is. Thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, life. Thank you, stream, flow, whatever we want to call it. I revel in your resonance. I'm grateful for your resonance. I'm grateful for this life and this connection. I release this word. I allow it to be, and together we say, and so it is. Oh, okay. So I'm taking a deep breath in here. Another drink of water. Well, tea. So that's what I got out of being comfortable with discomfort. Non-resistance, flow of life. So I want to invite, Lissa, I think, are you doing both today? Okay, cool. You are so awesome.
I also just want to say that was glorious. I just feel, I feel so lifted.
Thank you.
Yes, well, it's time for our sacred giving.
Oh yeah, we're going here first.
Okay, and I think we all know how to do it. The address, if you want to mail a check, is on the screen, and then of course Venmo is the easiest way once you get hooked into it.
Yep.
So that's a good thing to do. And so we could say together, reminding ourselves that everything flows from the nature of God's good. We receive from this flow, we give from this flow. We give in gratitude and in love. We have faith in the infinite giving nature of spirit. And so it is.
And so it is. Oh, thank you, Lissa. We'll come back to you for our benediction.
Yes.
Let me get rid of this if I can. There we go. And Yvonne, you got a lot to talk about today.
Well, I do, but I kind of made it smaller so we didn't have to sit here for an hour. So I just want to remind you to please read the weekly Wednesday newsletter for any further information that you need, or you could also call Reverend Michelle. So Monday evening prayer group, join us for on Zoom for 6 to 6:20 silent prayer. Tuesday evening spiritual learning circle from 6:30 to 7:30. We will be discussing chapter 4, You Are Not Alone, from Mary O'Malley's book, What's in the Way is the Way. And call or text Reverend Michelle if you have questions about it. Morning prayer circle. This is a little new thing. So morning prayer circle, Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. Relaine Clark will host a spiritual circle, a prayer circle, sorry, on Zoom. And this is an opportunity to give and to receive spiritual mind treatment. Excuse me. The link is in the newsletter, and it will be an ongoing thing, but I didn't put all the rest of the information in there because you can find it in the newsletter. But the one we're having now is Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. And then there will be a celebration of life service for Reverend Dr. excuse me, Tom Sanner, which will be held on Saturday, November 4th at Seaside Center. And all the further details. I'm sorry, I'm having the same problem you have, Michelle. With my anyway, it's in the newsletter. So there's a lovely picture of him in there, and so, and then that's it. Pretty good, huh?
I'm muted, but yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think Gisela said that that there will be a link for Tom's service.
Virtual,
Details.
Virtual.
Newsletter. Thank you, Yvonne.
You're welcome.
And Lisa, we're coming back to you for the benediction. Oh, you're muted. Let's see if I can unmute you. I unmute.
Sorry.
You. There you go. You're good.
And so if we can take a nice deep breath and just center on the gratefulness that we have for this service today, and knowing that we go forward with this sense of really paying attention to dwelling in the magnitude of the universe, and knowing that nothing is impossible, and that discomfort can be simply a trigger to move us further into the great flow of life that is the place where we find all our rewards and our things to be grateful for and our life to be grateful for, knowing that we are one with a divine spirit that is love and that allows us to be love and to project love to the world. And I'm so grateful for all of this, and I release my word into the law, saying, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Lisa.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Jessie.
Bonjour. All right, we're going to stand in the heart of love together, which is where all things somehow make sense in that heart way. Sunshine on my face and the day is made of magic. Sometimes I still find a way to make my life feel tragic. Good things pour down on me like summer rain is so warm. I try to run, but it's so much better to dance in the storm. You see, I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I accept my pain without question, it's a blessing. I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I'm expanding and I'm standing in the heart of love, in the heart of love, in the heart of love. Repeat after me, ready? I'm standing in the heart of love, in the heart of love, yeah. I'm standing, right, in the heart of love. Really affirm it, let's do it again. I'm standing in the heart of love, in the heart of, feel it. I'm standing in the heart of love, in the heart of love. I see my blessings and I'm accepting, no hesitation, no reservation. I see my blessings and I'm accepting, no hesitation, no reservation. I see my blessings and I'm accepting, no hesitation, no reservation. I see my blessings and I'm accepting, no hesitation, no reservation. I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. And I accept my pain without question, it's a blessing. I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I'm expanding and I'm standing in the heart of love, in the heart of love, in the heart of love. Here we go, ready? Oh, I'm standing in the heart of love, in the heart of love. I'm standing in the heart of love. Even when I'm sad, even when I'm happy, I'm standing in the heart of love. Love penetrates all the opposites. I'm standing in the heart of love, 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 in in the heart of love.
Woohoo! The heart of love. I love that. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. I am going to stop our live stream. Goodbye to all our live streamers. And I'm going to stop the recording.